Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab and today's video, which is going to be my thoughts on the brand new Colored Raine Safari Raine Palette. I also picked up one of the lipsticks. I have to say that after the last couple of reviews that I did, which were much more neutral, sort of wearable everyday kind of looks, I feel rejuvenated and revived doing a very bold look, even though I stuck with very neutral tones. In the video, of course, I'll take you through some details about the palette, how I created this eye look so that you can see the palette in action, and I also picked up one of the lipsticks as I mentioned, so I'll also talk to you about that. I thought I'd do something a little bit different and give you a break from all of the Riviera palette reviews. So let's go ahead and get into it. I made my purchase on Friday, March 8th, which was the day of launch, very shortly close to the launch time, and I received my package yesterday, which was Monday, March 11th. So I've had a couple of days to play with my palette, and I have to say I'm really impressed. As I mentioned, I purchased the palette, which retails for $39, as well as one of the lipsticks. There were 3 lipsticks in the collection, as well as some eyelashes, as well as makeup brushes, but these were the 2 items I decided to pick up. The lipstick does retail for $15. I did use a discount code when I placed my order. I used the code HOTFIRE, which is the discount code for hotfire.makeup on Instagram, and I did receive 10% off of the palette, but the discount code was not applied to the lipstick. Just some information in case you're interested. So having placed the order Friday, I was really surprised to receive it so quickly. So here's what the palette looks like. It does come inside a sleeve. The sleeve just has Colored Raine Safari Raine, no information on the back side. When you slide out the palette looks exactly the same like the sleeve, and on the back side you do have your information. This palette has a 12-month shelf life. It is made in the United States and is cruelty free. You do have 9 eyeshadows for a total weight of 12.5 grams. So that's approximately 1.4 grams per shade. I have to say it's really nice to see an eyeshadow palette whose outside theme so closely matches the shades on the inside. When you do open it up, you do have a very nice mirror, then you have your shades on the inside with the names printed on the actual palette. There was one of these plastic inserts protecting the palette, as well as a plastic film on the mirror. I'm glad to see in the viewfinder that the colors are picking up very true to what they really are in real life, because when I was trying to take a picture of the palette for Instagram, I was having a really hard time as the palette packaging is a little bit reflective and my camera was focusing on that rather than the shades, and then the shades were a little bit washed out or darkened. So I'm really glad to see that you are seeing the full picture. So in this palette, you do have 5 foiled shadows, and they mean foiled shadows, as well as 4 matte shadows. I'm gonna go ahead and show you some swatches while I read to you from the Colored Raine website about their information about the palette. Created after our owner, Lorraine's obsession with wildlife and the safari, we introduced our first ever 9-pan Safari Raine eyeshadow palette. This eyeshadow palette can be used to create everyday looks with a side of bling. Formulated for ease of use, the earth tones and exotic foil shades will not disappoint. Cruelty-free and made in the United States. It definitely does not disappoint. I have to say, when I first swatched it, the metallics, those are the kind of metallics that you can take your finger in there and swatch for days all the way down your arms. They're incredible. But I was a little bit disappointed when I swatched the matte shades. With the swatches that I showed you, I did have to build up the pigment quite a bit. I went in a couple of times to get the color to show up on my skin tone. But of course, swatches are only representative of the color and not really the performance of the palette on your eyes. So I was a little bit nervous about that, but you'll see when I applied the shades, they perform beautifully on the eyes, and so it definitely did not disappoint in that regard. The palette is just beautifully themed. I loved it. I recently did a review of the Juvia's Place The Tribe palette, which I also have that one here. Here they are side by side for comparison, and I'm looking in the viewfinder. They're showing up very true to their own color, and I have to say I love the Juvia's Place palette. I gave it a wonderful review as well, but I have to say that even though they are both sort of green and neutral palettes, they give me very different vibes. The Juvia's Place gives me more of a grungy kind of daytime look, while the Colored Raine, having darker mattes, gives me more of a smoky, focus on the metallic shades kind of vibe. That's just me, but you can let me know what you think. Do you think that they're similar to each other? I guess there's some similarities, but they're not the same. I definitely don't feel that I could create the same looks using either palette. So to me, there's room in my collection for both. Now that we have that out of the way, I did choose to create a more neutral look because I figured anybody else who was reviewing the palette was going to go straight for those greens, and I have to tell you, I restrained myself. I played with them a little bit so I know how they performed, but the look that I'm showing you obviously is the look that I'm wearing, and I focused on the other tones, although I did use the Congo Basin shade in my crease a little bit as well. These metallics are something else. They really are. I did apply them with a damp brush today because I was doing my eyeshadow after applying my foundation and I wanted to avoid any fallout, which I really didn't get any fallout, matte or shimmer. I love the shimmer shades. Let me tell you, if you have more mature eyelids and you love a metallic shadow, but you worry because of the creases that the shades may settle into the folds in your eyes, if you have hooded eyes, these metallics are perfect for you. Literally perfect for you. I've been wearing it all day and I haven't had any creasing, and they're the kind of metallic that they feel creamy to the touch, like a little bit wet. When you put it on, it almost stays creamy, so it gives it a little bit of flexibility, and as you blink, my eye is constantly going under my hood. I've been wearing it for a while, as I mentioned, and it has not changed from when I applied it. I'm so ecstatic about these metallics. I know that I'm going to be digging into this quite frequently. As I mentioned, this palette gives me more of a smoky, darker vibe, and the reason for that is because all of the shades are dark. There's nothing really light here, no brow bone highlight if you enjoy that, no lighter metallic shade, so it does give you a darker vibe, and that's fine. You can of course pair this with any eyeshadow palette of your choosing and create different looks as well. As I mentioned, I did pick up one of the lipsticks. It is the shade that I'm wearing, and the name of this one is Queendom. Okay, it is cruelty-free, paraben-free, gluten-free, and vegan, and made in the US as well. So when I first opened the lipstick, I noticed how light it is. It feels super, super light. I want you to think of the Sephora Lip Stories collection where the packaging is cardboard. It's a very similar feel here. The packaging is definitely cardboard, and here's the shade. Obviously, I've already worn it and I'll insert a clip of me applying it a little bit later on. But I chose this shade because with nudes, it's always hard for me to tell if they're going to be too nude or too cool or shades that will sort of wash me out. I have to be really careful with nude lipsticks because my own lips are a little bit pigmented. And then the other shade was really, really dark and vampy. Beautiful as well, but I figured that of the three, I would probably get the most use out of Queendom. And I've never tried the Colored Raine formula. Now, I like that the packaging reflects a theme of the palette, and I think it was probably easiest to accomplish that on cardboard packaging, but it does feel a little bit light for a $15 lipstick. The Sephora Lip Stories lipsticks, I believe that they're about $8 or $9 perhaps. Just the same, it would have been nice to see something maybe a little more luxe, but I do like it. Of course, what really matters is the formula, and I'm really impressed with this formula. And that when I first started to apply it, first of all, there's like a little bit of maybe a little bit of a slight waxy fragrance to it, but nothing too overpowering. It definitely doesn't smell bad. Just a light fragrance. When you first apply it, it feels a little bit waxy, like you could see it kind of pulls on my lips a little bit, but you get opacity. I mean, complete opacity with this. And I've been wearing this lipstick now for about 5 hours. I have not touched up. When I applied it, it didn't transfer to my lips. It settled onto my lips and it's comfortable. It looks matte. You know what it looks like? It looks like the Smashbox liquid lipstick in the shade Out Loud. It's a very similar sort of pumpkin brown kind of shade, and even though that one is really comfortable, this one is a lot more comfortable. It's not 100% transfer proof, so if you drink something, you'll get a little bit on your glass, but it's not a lot by any means. I'm just impressed at how comfortable it is. I've had it on for a while. I didn't have any gloss or anything like that, and I'm good. And lips are usually dry, so for a first try with the Colored Raine formula, I have to say I'm impressed. I would have liked a little more from the packaging, but that's just me. But the formula, wow, it's really good. Let's go ahead and get into the demo so that you can see me apply everything. I'll move my hair so that you can see everything a little bit closer. If you're not interested in the demo, then skip to this time and I'll give you my final thoughts. As I usually prefer, I've already done one eye off camera. The reason I do that is because this eye gets really, really watery, so there's actually been times where I've done my whole face of makeup, I sit down to film, and this eye just ruins everything, and I have to start over, like literally with my whole base. It's hard to sort of put foundation and concealer back after your face has gotten all messed up. So I have started doing my one eye before I do any base makeup just to see if it's gonna work. And if it does, then I continue with the video. So yeah, I'm going to be doing this eye now on camera after my base makeup is on. So probably I should put down some translucent powder. It's just a safety precaution in case I do get any fallout. I'm working with pretty intense metallic shades today. I'm starting out with my Sonia G Blender Pro and the shade Matriarch. And I'm going to tap that into more or less where I want my crease. I'm using tapping motions and not swiping. Once I've deposited most of the color, I'm going to go ahead and use slight windshield wiper motions, but also circular motions to blend the shade. Once that's set down, I'm going to take my Sonia G Crease 2 brush, and I'm going to set down the shade Congo Basin. Now, when I set the shade down originally, I was going to do more of a cool tone look, but then I changed my mind. But I'm just repeating the steps exactly as I did before to make sure that I get the desired effect. So now with the shade Clay and a Surratt brush, I'm just going to finish blending out those edges. This kind of keeps the look from becoming too warm, even though I'm using a really warm orange in the crease, or to blend out my shadow. Next, I'm going to cut my crease. You can use concealer, eyeshadow base, whatever you prefer. I'm going to use the MAC 249 and the Linda Hallberg 300 to clean up the edges. I'll probably speed through this part so you can see, but it really doesn't require much explanation. I've done this on my channel so many times. Alright, that looks just about even. So I'm going to take a Sonia Kashuk number 27 brush and the shade Matriarch, and I'm just going to darken the edges just a little bit. The first shimmer that I'm going to go into is the shade Lioness. I'm using a Bodyography Pro flat shader brush, and to be honest, this shade applies just fine without wetting my brush, but since I'm going to be packing it on and I already applied my base makeup, I am going to dampen it with a little bit of my Inglot setting spray. This is literally one of the best golds in my whole collection. That was the shade Lioness, by the way. The next shade is Toucan, and I use the same brush. These metallics are ridiculous. Lastly, we're using the same brush and the shade Tigress. I have not had one single bit of fallout. Right, essentially that's it for the top. Now I'm going to go in with that Sonia Kashuk brush and the shade Matriarch, and I'm going to line my lower lash line. I'm going to slowly blend that out with the shade Clay. I'm using the Sonia G Crease 2 brush again. So you can see on the lower lash line, I didn't apply the green, that Congo Basin shade, and so it looks a lot warmer. You do have to do a little bit of back and forth between the two shades because as you blend, a little bit of the Matriarch shade fades away, so then I put it back. This is the basis for the eyeshadow look. I do finish it off with liquid liner. I use my Too Faced sketch marker, and this one is in the shade Black, and I use the Marc Jacobs eyeliner. This one's in the shade Earthquake. I use that on the upper and inner rim. I do apply some false lashes, and that's everything for the look. So I'm going to do that off camera, and we'll be back to apply the lipstick. Alright, so this is what we're working with. I really love the way that this look turned out so much. I want to go ahead and use the lipstick. I only purchased one shade from the collection, so I'm hoping it goes. This is the shade Queendom. I did line my lips. I wanted to not disrupt the color as much as possible, so I went in with a shade very similar to my own lip color. This is Urban Decay's 1993. I've lost quite a lot of light. I only film with a ring light on a really low setting when I'm doing my makeup application. Sometimes because I want you to get a really good feel for the colors and not have it be washed out, so hopefully it turns out okay. I don't think I needed a lip liner at all, actually. I think that's the finished look. Let me know what you think. Nothing makes me happier than a bold face of makeup, and even though I'm wearing neutrals, I think it still makes a pretty bold statement. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing the demo, and I probably don't have to tell you, but I'm really impressed with this collection. I'm really happy with my palette. I absolutely love these metallic foiled shades. It leaves me a little bit speechless. I'm super, super impressed, and they applied really well with a brush. I did not go in with my finger at all. They're just beautiful, beautiful shades. I highly recommend it. Again, if you have hooded eyes, if you have more mature eyes, these metallics, these foils will work for you because they're working for me, and I have mature eyes, hooded eyes, very crepey eyelids, and wow, wow. Definitely recommend the eyeshadow palette. As far as the lipstick formula, I do like the lipstick formula as well, and if any of the three shades call out to you, then I would definitely recommend picking them up. Having tried the formula and feeling so comfortable and how pigmented it is, it hasn't transferred to my lips, it hasn't bled. I haven't really had to worry about my lipstick at all. I have to say that if any of the shades call out to you, I would also recommend those as well. I'm not sure why the discount codes were not working for the lipsticks. Maybe it was a glitch, or maybe it wasn't supposed to, but no harm in trying. Again, the code that I used was HOTFIRE, and that gave me 10% off of the eyeshadow palette. So this is definitely a rave review. I'm really, really, really excited, and even having owned the Juvia's Place palette already, I do feel that I've added something to my collection. I don't think that one replaces the other. I think that they're unique, and I'm happy to have them both. Happy to support more indie brands as I'm trying more and more as time goes on my channel. I'm really excited about that. Let me know your thoughts. Did you pick it up? Did you try it? What do you think of those metallics? They're amazing. They're super amazing. Anyway, thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Let me know what you thought of the eye look that I created. If you're picking up the collection, leave all your thoughts in the comment section down below, as well as your questions if I missed anything in my excitement. Thank you for spending a few minutes of your day with me. I hope you're having a lovely, lovely day, and I look forward to seeing you again really, really soon on my next one. Bye-bye.